Hi, it's Ileana. So today I'm going to be talking about psychic remote viewing. The way I teach it is I don't believe I'm front loading anybody with asking a question. What is under something? What is under Orlando, Florida? I don't know. Never been to Florida. Didn't know what was under Florida. And specifically, don't know much about Florida except it's good for shelling and it's a very beautiful place to find fossils. That I know. Never visited Florida. Never been to Orlando, Florida in particularly. Don't have any desire to go there. I think it's not the best energy. Just the vibration of it, for me at least. But anyways, getting back to the remote viewing. People have been requesting me to look for giants under Florida. I've already remote viewed Florida, haven't found any giants under Florida. However, Florida is very big. There's several coasts to Florida. So if somebody wants me to look for giants in specific places under Florida somewhere, give me a specific location. That could, or give me different parts where you want me to have a look. Again, you're not front loading me with anything. You're just giving me a location, a point of entry to go under, to have a look what's there. I don't know what would be under different parts of Florida. Again, I'm a remote viewer. I don't focus on Florida. It's just another state in a huge country. So if you just give me a location, say, what's under Orlando, Florida? I don't know. Never been. Never went under Orlando, Florida. Not psychically, not remote viewing, not in my light body. Had no clue. So I did a remote viewing. What is under Orlando, Florida? No giants under Orlando, Florida. But there is something really big under there, that I can tell you. And my remote viewing findings will be revealed on November 22nd when Jenny Lee and I present her remote viewings of the giants and what she's been remote viewing about Florida. I have no idea what her findings are, other than the inner earth stuff, basically what's under the ocean, what's in the water, what she's been seeing there. That I know. She's told me about that. So she'll be covering the giants of Iraq, her previous remote viewing. She'll be covering the tree of life with the seeds of life and the fountain of youth, going through that portal off the coast of Florida in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and what she's remote viewed. But if she's remote viewed something else in Florida, I have no idea. She's not sharing that with me because that would be front loading me. She's not giving me specific details of information. Now, when I was remote viewing or what's under Orlando, Florida, I also saw that portal going to inner earth and taking it to the tree of life with the seeds of life and the fountain of youth. And I've already said that because I remote viewed looking for giants under Florida, and I found the portal, and Jenny found the same stuff. So that's part of what I remote viewed. But what I never said is what I found under Orlando, Florida. This remote viewing, I'd say about a week ago, before I was talking about this giant stuff. So again, I'm not front loading anybody because I don't share my remote viewing data with anyone until I'm ready to do so, because I don't want anybody stealing my remote viewing data or front loading others with information that they should not have access to. So I don't engage in that. I teach psychic remote viewing. All you would get in the lesson is what is under something. what is under the Baltic Sea. I'm not going to give you the specifics of the target, what you're remote viewing. I would never give you that. I would just say, what is under Amaro. That's all you would get from me. Keywords to help you find an entrance to whatever you're going to be remote viewing. But I'm not going to tell you what you're remote viewing, what the target is. You just get a bit of a keyword. That's all. Nobody told me what's under Orlando, Florida. I had no clue until I did the remote viewing. And what I was seeing is what I put down on the white piece of paper with the black ink pen. I cannot erase anything that I remote view. I don't have an eraser. I don't have a magic pen either that can just change results based on my whims. It's not what I think is there or what I want to see something that's there. It's what is actually there. I have no control over what the actual stuff is there. What is there is what is there, is what you put down, your impressions of the idioms. Is it land? Is it water? Is it man-made? Is it natural? Is it wet? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it warm? Whatever is down there, that's what you put down, or above you, or below you. Remote viewing can be about anything and everything in what the target is selected for you. You will not know what the target is that I have selected in the course for you. I would already know what the results of the target are because I've remote viewed it before. I would only select targets for you that I've remote viewed, so I would know what's down there because I've remote viewed it already. And then you would remote view it and we would compare the findings. If the findings are different, and if it's something else that you saw there, we would explore that, but it might not be an accurate remote viewing if the results are not the same. And that's okay. With practice, you start to understand better what you're remote viewing. You focus on the target. Sometimes the target is what is under there, under something. That's what you focus on. It's not what your imagination puts in. It's not what you want your mind to create that's there, what you think is there. You only write down the impressions of what is there. What is it? And we work on clearing your mind of all active thoughts, of logic. When you use logic to do remote viewing, you're not going to get accurate targets. You have to remove logic, you have to remove worry, you have to remove anxiety, you have to remove anything that is getting in the way of remote viewing. Anything in your thoughts that is clutter, that has to be removed in a meditative state where your mind is blank, clear of all active thought. Same with hypnosis. Before you can get into a deep hypnosis session, your mind has to be clear of everything that is moving around in your head, of all active thoughts. Same with remote viewing. With remote viewing, even more so. You have to be deeply relaxed. You have to be calm. You have to be ready to do a session where everything is cleared. Then you get down to the remote viewing work. Half of it is clearing anything in your head. Any perceptions, any expectations that you have of what you're going to be looking for? No, none of that. You are sitting there with me in the remote viewing sessions, and you will just get a keyword. What is under something or above something? What is under? Or something different. I'm not going to give you hints what you're looking for. You're never going to get that. You're just going to get a brief little keyword. Then you will use your skills and abilities to look for what's under something, what is on a planet, what is on a ship. I'm not going to tell you what you're looking for because that is front loading you and back loading you and giving you information. And That is giving you an advantage, which I would never do. Even though I don't use the alphanumeric numbers, the 4 numbers, because that's the same to me as if what is under something. That's the same to me. I don't use those numbers. That is strict military protocol training. That is what Farsight does, and that's how I learned to do remote viewing. Strictly how they teach it. But then I modified it in the way I teach psychic remote viewing. I teach it differently. I don't hide that. I'm not deceiving anybody. I describe how my courses are taught. If that is something that resonates with you, the way I teach it, to learn it that way, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. I still get the same results. I have a track record for being a professional remote viewer. In what I've seen, and I found similar remote viewings with the same data, whether you're using the numbers or not, or just the keywords. It's how good you are as a remote viewer. It's how good you're trained to look deep into something, to find something. That is what is important, what you're learning in remote viewing. How deep can you go and see what you need to see and what you discover? Again, I had zero expectations what I would find under Orlando, Florida. I wasn't getting excited about finding giants or not finding giants. Not about that. All that I had was what is under Orlando, Florida. Had no idea. First time I'm ever looking at this thing, whatever that thing was. Or there might have been nothing under there. Then I would have said nothing there. Nothing at all. But there is something there, something big. And that will be shown to everybody. Once I have the results of my remote viewing and I've looked at it and I've examined it, assessed it, I will reveal findings. If it's credible, I will reveal it. I have nothing to hide here in my remote viewing results. There's many different ways of teaching remote viewing, and not everyone teaches it the same way. If you're not sure about how somebody teaches remote viewing, ask them. Ask them, how do psychics teach remote viewing? It should be pretty clear in the course material how you're being taught in the description. If you want the classical teaching of the remote viewing, then sign up for classical remote teaching courses of remote viewing. Most of the courses are online and remote through video recorded courses. So you better know the description of the course and what you're being taught, and if that's something that resonates with you. Because again, the quality of the remote viewers is very important. Do they have a track record? The description of their course. All of my remote viewing stuff that I've done, most of it is published in my books, my experiencer books, so you can see the quality of my remote viewing. And there's future projects that I'm putting in my new books. It is about quality. Know your teacher, know the course material, the description of the course at least. Most likely, if you sign up for a video course that's just pre-recorded videos, you might get success, you might not. I believe in one-on-one remote teaching of remote viewing. And what I mean is remote teaching, I teach it online in Zoom. This is what I mean. You would be learning one-on-one remote viewing with me, sitting there beside me in a Zoom session learning it. No access to your cell phone or the internet. Just a piece of paper, white piece of paper and pen in front of you, black ink pen. Because you're not allowed to look on what is under Amaramuro on the internet and tell me what's under there. No, you're supposed to go deep under and have a look what's there. That is how I teach it. You focus your mind, clear everything from the mind, the subconsciousness. Take your soul energy and travel under Amaramuro. And you describe what's under there. And you write it down. You write down your impressions and idioms. Write it down. Can't change it. What's there is there. That's it. No second chances, no do-overs. One shot at it. What is there is there. That's what you put down. What the impressions are that you're getting. Not what you think is there, not what you would like to be there, not what your mind wants there to be. You have to put that aside. Those are confusing. That would not be good for remote viewing. Sometimes you get pieces of things where it's what your mind perceives wanting to be there. And if that feels wrong to you, it's not what's there. Put that aside. Sometimes you get that during sessions. It's a desire to see something that you want to be there, but it's not there. If it feels wrong, if your gut intuition is saying, nope, that's my mind putting words and thoughts into this, that's not it. Put it aside. Let's just put it aside. Don't draw that out. You might put, side note, this is what I'm getting impression of, but this is a minor thing, likely not what I'm looking for or at. Put it aside. Put a note. Sometimes what your mind perceives might actually be there as a creation or part of the remote viewing an aspect. Most likely it's something that it's creating on its own, but sometimes there's a note of truth in that little impression. So you write it down, put it aside as a side note. Not as the main key factor of your remote viewing, as a side note. I would never tell you not to write something down, but if it's something that is distracting and probably not there, your mind creating it, still put it as a side note. You never know. Anything could be relevant in remote viewing, but it's most likely not the main thing that you're focusing on, that you need to retrieve an information. That's the reality of remote viewing. That's what I've learned over the last 5.5 years of doing remote viewing. And I don't have taskers who give me remote viewing targets. I don't have that luxury. I'm not Farsight Institute, who can remotely generate those alphanumerical numbers because they have the technology and they have a tasker, a main tasker, who assigns these numbered targets to the remote viewers. I don't have that. I only have myself, and Jenny Lee has herself. So we've learned to do it professionally without compromising ourselves or front-loading ourselves. I don't sit around with Jenny talking about what I'm going to remote view next and how it's going to look like. I don't do that. That's front-loading. You never reveal what you're going to be doing as a remote viewing project until it's completed. That's another thing important. Don't reveal the findings and the results of your targets until the remote viewing is completed, until it's reviewed. And then if you wish to make it public, just be aware other people might take that information and say they remote viewed it, and hey, they know what your target is. Be very careful with the results of your remote viewing data. When you are doing remote viewing, you are working with the consciousness energy grid. That energy field is what you work with, and you go with it to find and look at remote viewing targets. You don't really know what the target is. You don't. You're looking for something, you're searching for something, you have no clue what you're searching for. So you're not front-loaded with anything. You're not supposed to be told anything about what your target is, except a certain point of longitude and latitude coordinates, which those alphanumeric numbers are. That's what they are. They're longitude, latitude, location coordinates. That's what the key words would be. What is under Orlando, Florida? Those are your longitude and latitude, just coordinates. Not what's actually there, because you don't know. The tasker knows, but you don't. It's your job to go under there and have a look and report back what is there. Put it down on paper, write it out, draw it out. That's why you have the black ink pen and the white piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. Those are the basics and the mechanics of what you start working with when doing remote viewing. You're just given a set of coordinates. Those coordinates could be the numbers, or those coordinates could be keywords. It's the same thing. Can't substitute that. Can't substitute the mechanics of remote viewing. For me, I just choose to use keywords instead of the alphanumerical numbers. But to me, that's the same thing. To somebody else, it might not be. Remote viewers might say the classical teaching, like, that's not the correct way to do it. Don't ever do it that way. But in psychic remote viewing, that is how it's done. It's a different approach to teaching it, but you're still being taught professional remote viewing, in my opinion. Thank you so much, and namaste.